Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag Sidequest. I'm your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. With me, your wonderful co-host, our mediocre gamer, Keith.
And only with you this week. Hello.
Yep, Liz is not here. So this is going to be a Sidequest episode. Wait, Keith, do you hear that? Yeah, I just heard a collective groan from all our listeners.
Yeah, it's all right. Liz finally left Andrew. We all knew it was going to happen, and today's the day. Today, literally today. But that's how committed Andrew is. He said, I'm going to still record an episode.
Nah, we've had a very busy week. Me and Liz just recently moved, and then we had family that's like, hey, we want to come visit and see this house. And so we didn't really get time to play because we're too busy unpacking and doing whatnots, and, you know, life just gets busy sometimes, so we're sorry. So here we are with a Sidequest episode that we don't have a name for. I don't know. What do we call this, Keith? The time Liz leaves us?
Yeah. Womp womp.
Boy talk. How about that? Guy time.
I mean, if you keep my soft opening, people will know about boy talk. So this is really just on you, Andrew.
I don't know if I really want to commit to Sidequest boy talk. That's weird. But me and Keith thought we'd do an episode where we would talk about the many games that we've actually been playing on Game Pass that we kind of figured out really weren't worth doing an episode on, because there are a ton of just small bite-sized games that are just kind of hard to do an episode on. And, you know, there's been some free-to-play games that we've been exploring, and also we figured we could talk about some Game Pass news of some upcoming games coming out. So I figured we first kick off this episode by let's talk about a couple of the games that we've been playing, Keith. You know, as I said, there's a ton of little small games that are kind of hard to do. Like for me, I've been on a kind of a bender. I was gonna say bender. I've been kind of on a bender on working games, I guess is the best way to describe them. Basically simulators. I mean, basically if you see a game on Game Pass that's whatever simulator, yeah, you're kind of working. But man, I've been digging these games. So I've been playing, obviously, quite a bit of Farm Simulator, Power Washing Simulator, Cooking Simulator just came out. I haven't picked that one up yet, but, you know, it's going to be on my list. House Flippers. But, yeah, so these games are you're essentially doing a job. And I don't know why, but I love them. So my biggest one I've been playing, you keep making comments about it, is Power Wash Simulator. Please tell me you've tried it yet, Keith.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I've not nearly even touched the iceberg. I think that is Power Wash Simulator, though.
You haven't cleaned the iceberg. Use proper wordage.
This is a valid point. I have not even cleaned the tip of the iceberg on Power Wash Simulator, but I have. And I think it's so funny to me because the one thing about Human Fall Flat that you didn't like, it feels like I'm working. And this has come up time and time again. It feels like this game's just trying to make me do work. And I'm doing work. I'm doing a job. These games are literally work. And it is tedious work, too. Power Wash Simulator is no joke. Like, each level, even if you're efficient, you're looking at probably a good 20 to 30 minutes minimum. Heaven forbid you're the least bit inefficient like myself. And, I don't know, that's 45 minutes sunk into that. And then will you have enough money for an upgrade? You won't, but you'll get to spend another 45 minutes washing another big old...
Oh, no. Hold on. Money's not the issue in the game. You need stars to unlock. That's the annoying thing.
And this is true. And honestly, I don't even want to make it sound negative because it is oddly fun. I'm in the middle. So on the time that I've played, and this is also funny to me that you're on board with this, is the noise. The noise of the power wash consistently.
Oh, I usually play it on silent.
Grating. Yeah, it almost brings me back to Anvil and Anvil, whatever the sword breaker guy, angry yelling hammer guy.
Yep, Anvil.
So yeah, whatever that guy was, it was a sound that's like I almost need it as part of the game as much as I can't stand it. Now,
really? I don't. The only thing I like is the satisfying ding every time you clean a little section. That is so satisfying to hear that noise. But yeah, you're just constantly hearing the entire time, and it's annoying.
And maybe that's part of it. But I will say it did put me to sleep at least once.
Oh yeah, same here. I have fallen asleep just spraying a door. Yeah, a couple times I've done that. I'm not gonna lie.
But I guess that's kind of the beauty of it. It's I think even in real life, power washing is just kind of it's just like a nice, satisfying washing away and soothing. So there's something to be said for it. I touched a little bit of House Flippers. I couldn't really get into it. I don't know about Cooking Simulator.
Hold on. Speaking of annoying noises, just because you mentioned House Flippers has one of. So there's the whole purpose, real quick, of House Flippers. Obviously, you're a up and coming contractor person. You buy houses, you flip them. Obviously, that's the name of the game. There is one particular house. It is a castle. My God. The music is always generally very calming, little just beeps and boops. It's just a relaxing kind of game. But then there's this, you buy this old Gothic castle that's meant to be kind of spooky, like Dracula's castle. There's a song they play that is so bad. It was driving me insane. I turned my music off, in which I didn't like playing the game on silent, but I just sold the house. I didn't even fully flip it because it was just so annoying. I have never played a game that had such a bad song for a certain level. It was top of my list for worst soundtracks I've ever heard. So if you play House Flippers, do not buy the castle. Just the soundtrack alone on that house was the worst. Rant over.
I don't know if I'll ever get to that level anyhow.
Oh, I played a lot of House Flippers.
But what's the deal with all these simulator work games? Is it all under one studio and Microsoft just bought the studio, or
no?
What is going on
these are all different studios. House Flippers is a company in Germany, I think. They're a European studio that does House Flippers. As far as the other simulators, they're kind of all over the place. I think it's just kind of a trend because people love these simulator games. I mean, heck, I love them. But I know a bus driver simulator or truck simulator, I guess is the word.
There's a train one too, right?
Yeah, they have a huge cult following. Did you know Farm Simulator actually has an esport?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's esports competitions of how many how many bays of hail you can stack in a certain amount of time. Kind of crazy. But no, there's a huge market for these competitions. Yeah, I know. But I mean, they're fun games just because I'm not going to be a farmer. I'm not going to be a house flipper. I will say, like I said, me and Liz just recently bought a house and playing House Flippers. I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to renovate things. I'm going to tell you now, House Flippers is probably the farthest simulator from these genre of games. You are not going to be a construction person. You can't just get a sledgehammer and start smashing walls. That's not real life. Please don't do that to your house because, it might be load bearing or there might be something dangerous in the walls. Please don't just start smashing things. But I mean, it's just at least fun to kind of experience these things. Power Washing Simulator 2, I will say, I didn't even think that game was too much of a simulator because Farming Simulator to me is obviously a very good simulator. You got to get your certain equipment, do the certain things of, pesticides and fertilizers and what have you. Power Washing Simulator, you're just spraying things. And it's just, I was expecting more of you growing a business kind of thing like that. There's also Lawnmower Simulator. We forgot to mention that one, Keith.
Oh, geez,
one of our friends is probably very upset that we haven't mentioned that one yet. But it's just...
He doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, Power Washing Simulator is more of an arcade simulator because the great thing about... One of the best things about Power Wash Simulator is that it's co-op. Up to 4 players you can join with. And it's fun to kind of just spray things with your friends. I was playing with one of our listeners when he was on, and I just jumped into his game, and we just started spraying a treehouse. It was just a lot of fun. But I don't know.
That's what you do in Power Wash Simulator. Simulator.
I think Game Pass is kind of going through months of themes. So and we're going to get into it with upcoming games coming out, but there's kind of an ongoing theme even with this month, which is kind of storytelling games. So I think that's just kind of what Microsoft's doing, which I think is awesome because, these new games are coming in and they're trying to teach and show people hey, there's a whole world of video games out there. You don't know, try these things that you probably wouldn't try normally. I would have never bought Power Wash Simulator. If I saw that game, I would have been whatever. You spray things. I don't get it. But on Game Pass, I'm this is fantastic. Give me more of this. And another quick thing, I'll stop talking about Power Wash Simulator. But the thing that surprised me about it it has a story. Like, it actually has not an interesting story, but it's like, I don't know, kind of interesting. While you're doing your jobs, you're getting texts from like random people in the city, and you're getting this whole story of this like government conspiracy of the mayor like funneling water and selling it to a billionaire. Kind of weird. It was completely unexpected, but I like Power Wash Simulator.
I like the little like texts and emails you get from the client as you're doing the job. They're like,
oh, and House Flipper?
No, with power washing too. Like one of the jobs,
yeah.
it's fairly early on. It's here now, like washing the person's like parents' house. And they're like, oh, Dad is out looking out the front door. He hasn't been outside in 27 years, so he must like it.
And it's through those where you're getting a text when people are like, hey, like cats are missing in this town. Like, where are all the cats? And you find this whole conspiracy of cats missing, and then a volcano that might erupt, and an ancient civilization that you're power washing their statues. It's kind of weird. You obviously don't need to at least see the story, but I recommend checking out Power Wash Simulator, especially if you have some friends to play with. Just don't play when you're tired.
I assume too you are also probably playing at work, like cloud, picking it up and
yes, whatnot. It's a great cloud game. Because that's the other thing. Because that's the other thing too. I never noticed an autosave symbol. Like when you play a lot of games, they have obviously an autosave symbol. I never saw one with Power Wash Simulator, but the autosave in Power Wash Simulator is amazing. Like literally, you just spray a little doorknob, and I would just quit right away, and it saved my progress, like right there. Like it saved literally every spray I was doing. It was fantastic. So yeah, highly recommend Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, well, so you know what honestly has actually surprised me, and I jumped into more than I thought I would, because you know me and builder games has been the 2-point games. So I think
I love the 2-point series.
Well, and I know you do. So that's like kind of a given, right? You love builder games, and I struggled with Evil Genius a little bit, and so generally, like, this isn't my style of gameplay. So I don't know what it is, but you had talked about the 2-point games on the Evil Genius episode. So when they came out, I was like, I think I'm going to give it a shot. I don't really, we were between episodes. I don't really know what I felt like playing. So I wanted to give something a shot. And honestly, I have been pleasantly surprised. The building is like pretty simplified. The management is simple. They're cheeky. They're fun. Challenging, but not too challenging. And I don't know. I've been having a lot of fun with them so far. I have not progressed past the first either worlds. Like I've been able to. I've just been trying to max out the first one before I move on. But yeah, I've honestly found myself more into them than I would have thought, and I guess I'm kind of hoping we do an episode on them at some point.
Yeah, I mean those games are actually pretty big enough that we probably could do an episode on. But
like even if we did like a split and do like both of them in one episode, but I think we could do one per.
We probably could split. So the new one that came out was 2-Point Campus, and if you played 2-Point Hospital, you kind of know what you're getting into with 2-Point Campus. 2-Point Campus isn't going to change your opinion if you didn't like 2-Point Hospital. But yeah, I love the 2-Point series. Because what surprises me too with these builder games, the 2-Point series, they're huge. Like I've put well over, I think 40 something hours in 2-Point Hospital, and I'm not done with the campaign yet. Like there's a lot to them. You're doing a lot of the same things, but the radio in the 2-Point series is really entertaining. I love playing that game with a headset.
I did notice that. One of the things that I liked, and maybe this happens with more builder games than I realize, and I just don't give them enough of a chance, but I love the function of just like the copy room. So you can, like, if you have a room that's laid out and you're just looking for like a nice design, it works, it fits. Yeah, just pick it up and move it, or even just pick up and move a room. Like, crap, I rebuilt this. I built this like one square off from where I want to. Now I have this random hallway on the side of the room. Nope, just pick it up and move it. And it's such a quality of life thing that, especially playing this style of game on a controller, it just makes it a world of difference. Like on a computer, a mouse and keyboard, if I'm trying to do all that same thing, fine, I'll rebuild. But I loved that ability, or I've loved that ability so far in playing those in both of the 2-Point games. So I definitely been something that I've been playing more than I would have thought I would have when games came out.
Yeah, 2-Point Hospital was, I've mentioned before that there's usually a game I play when I edit, because like I can just play something that I can either pause or just, it's really kind of mindless. Power Washing Simulator was one, obviously. And then, 2-Point Hospital was another one I played for a while. Like while I edited the podcast, I would just, play it and just let things kind of run. Yeah, so both me and Keith recommend, 2-Point Hospital or 2-Point Campus. They're both a lot of fun. But I actually do have another kind of working game. Since we don't do Game Pass PC, which is kind of unfortunate, but you don't want to shell out money for a PC, Keith, because you have a computer that barely runs this podcast. But another kind of working
sticks
game.
And Scotch tape.
Yeah, I know, seriously. I was addicted to this game. It's a stupid name. It's called Harspace: Shipbreaker. It should have just been called Shipbreaker. I don't know why they call it Hard Space. Stupid name. : Yeah, just Shipbreaker. Because literally the entire game, everyone calls you Shipbreaker because that's your job. But what Shipbreaker is, it is really fun. The whole concept of it is you are kind of like this blue-collar Joe that's signed up for this company that this is like, of course, typical evil corporation, essentially making you a slave. Like, yes, you are quote-unquote working for money, but like they tax you up the butt that you can't actually pocket any of that money. And the whole purpose of the game is you are basically every day going into work, you pick a ship. As you progress, you get obviously bigger ships, but they're spaceships, and it's a 0G game where you're floating in space, and you're essentially trying to break the ship apart. Now, it's not just, hey, just slice it any way you want. You actually have to break the ship apart to like aluminum and metals and like send them to the specific furnaces. And you also don't want to break the pieces too much. You want to have them as big as solid chunks because then you get a bigger payout. So it's this cool puzzle game while also doing another kind of simulator job thing. And I had so much fun with it. It has a story, but the story was just meh. It's honestly, you can kind of guess what it is when I talk about an evil corporation. So you can kind of guess how that story is going to go. But I just had such a fun time figuring out this puzzle aspect of like, it's essentially like peeling an onion. Like you got to do it by layers. Make sure you don't start from the inside because then you start working with sensitive material like fuel or the nuclear reactor or the coolant. I had so much fun with it. I was addicted to that game for like a week, and then I beat it. Got 1,000 achievements on it. Very easy gamer score. And then I was done. My biggest complaint with it, though, is there should have been more tools. You essentially just use your grapple and your laser. You get some other little tools that are just kind of useless. But I highly recommend Hard Space Shipbreaker. I had a lot of fun. But like I said, unfortunately, it's only on Game Pass PC.
What's stopping it from coming to console? I mean, just
I don't know.
Done it basically. Or,
probably.
I didn't know if there was like anything about it that you needed a mouse and keyboard or anything.
It definitely doesn't need a mouse and keyboard. I could see it maybe. I don't know if it's just such a small studio that they wouldn't do it, but it definitely could come to PC. Like I said, you only use, even when you unlock the extra tools, you maybe have like 4 tools, so you could easily map that to like the D-pad, and it's just really just breaking things apart and sending them to furnaces. So it's really simple mechanics. Maybe the 0G aspect might be a little difficult on controller because we've talked about with some games with 0G that it can be a little difficult, but I think it's doable.
It's been on a big drought of, and I think this might be because, like you said, Game Pass is in like a weird system thing now. But I haven't seen any good roguelikes recently.
Oh my gosh! Thank God.
You know what I did do though?
What?
I went back. Because remember, I complained about Nuclear Throne, and I was like, "That's a bad roguelike."
And I told you, I was like, "It's gotten a lot of good reviews."
Yeah, I went back. I still don't know if I love it, but it's actually a lot better than I thought I gave it credit for. So I found even in a drought of roguelikes, I still found one. So if you're like me and you're not sure, there might still be more. Don't quit digging. They still exist. Because also, Dead Cells. Speaking of going back, I think we've talked about it before. One of the nice things about Dead Cells actually is that they've continued to give free updates all on Game Pass. So I finally decided to go back and check it out because it's like, man, it has been a long time, and they now have an assist mode, and it
needed it. That was what we were complaining about. That game got crazy hard really fast.
It really is, and I don't remember. I should have like written down or marked down all the different things, but one of the biggest ones is that you can just start over at your last checkpoint. So you lose everything that you had up until the point where you died, but you can consistently keep going back to a checkpoint over and over and over again. Oh. So if you really if you're like, oh man, I know I can beat this boss, just keep trying, and you can do it. And there's a lot of other things as far as like damage and all of the kind of the standard assist mode, but it really was nice. But I forgot just like the simplicity of the items. While there's such a vast number of them, it just I forgot how nice it felt, and it's a ton of fun actually. Like if you're again like me, you like roguelikes and you kind of maybe stale on them for a little bit. If you haven't been on that one for a while, go back and give Dead Cells a try, and don't be afraid to try on the assist modes, because that game is hard, and if that's what it takes to progress, go for it and do it without shame.
But speaking about going back to games, we both have been playing the new Sea of Thieves update.
Heck yeah!
What do you think of the new Captain update?
I honestly, it's so much fun. It's so simple, and there's, I don't know, maybe I'm just only not seeing everything that's involved. I don't know how much new stuff is really, I feel like, is in there, or what is new from what I've missed over the years. But I love the ability to name my ship, and that's cool. But beyond that, the stat keeping on your individual ship, I think, has got to be the coolest thing about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, my only complaint with this captaincy update. So as Keith was saying, like, yeah, the new update with Sea of Thieves is you now can pay. You pay the in-game gold, so you're not spending any real money. But yeah, you can buy a sloop, brigantine, and a galleon. Obviously, each one has a different price. Galleon being more expensive, sloop being the cheapest. You name your ship, you can save the design, which that was kind of annoying that while you're like saving the design, you're paying money to have it saved to a template. Kind of weird. It's just another way for them to sink, I don't know, have you to sink your money in. It's not expensive. It's not that big of a complaint. My only thing that kind of stinks about this update is that I feel like it's a bit too late, because so the whole, you can only buy a ship if you're a pirate legend. So if you're someone who's already kind of gone through the game, you're now a pirate legend, more than likely you are pirate legends with your other friends. And so now this update came, and now you're kind of arguing of like, are we taking my ship or are we taking your ship? Because the stats don't carry over. So you're kind of having these adventures with the ship, but you have to fight with your friend of whose ship are we taking. This update very much feels like someone who's like me. Hey, I'm a pirate legend, but I have a bunch of friends who have not played Sea of Thieves. Let me rope them into Sea of Thieves and become crew to my ship. That's what I feel like the update's good for, but that's not the case for majority of the people. Majority of the people have already a set crew, and your set crew are probably all pirate legends. So basically only one person, they get to use their ship, and everyone else has to just join along. That being said, though, overall, I like it. I'm glad that they finally have a ship. I love that you can now store your voyages on the ship itself, so you can just stay out to sea and have fun. There's not a lot of meat to this content. It is a lot of more quality of life stuff. Like, they also added the Sovereigns, which is like another faction. That's just honestly a quick way to sell your loot. You just sell any of the loot to them, and they distribute it to the people that it's supposed to at no like penalty. It's just it's just a nice quality of life thing. So I think it's a solid update. I just don't think it's amazing.
You know what I think would be cool about that, though, is like you had told me you have to be a pirate legend to use the Sovereigns, right?
Yeah.
So it would be cool if it would have no impact to us, so it's easy for me to say it would be cool, but like anyone could use it, but you had to pay like a 20% if you didn't have it, or per faction that you had mastered, like different things. Like, I think that would be a cool way to shake it up, and honestly, why not? It's all in-game currency that I think, yeah, you can spend money on, but really no one needs to or should, and it's at the end of the day, like it's the same reason like I stopped being mad about people sinking my ship and stealing my treasure long ago. I'm just like, that's inconvenient. But yeah, like lost money is nothing, because I've never been one to be like, I'm gonna stash 1 million gold on my boat. Like, no, I've got one captain's chest. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn that in on my way by, because why not?
Well, I know that's like one suggestion we always thought of is we always wish there was an outpost that was actually governed by like NPCs. And it was like a friendly zone that literally no PvP could happen. And yeah, the penalty of actually trading into there would be like, 20% deduction into your gold. I think that would have been cool, because that's still one of my biggest complaints is when people will not stop chasing you. Like, you're like, I want to get off of this game, but I want to turn my stuff in. And these people have been chasing me for over an hour. Like, stop. I wish there was a zone that you could just be like, boom, nobody can deal with me. Like, I'll just take a cut and pay, be done with it.
Yeah, just like disables all weapons, disables all cannons, and there you go. Yeah, I would take that. But we mentioned too, because I don't know, is it tied to this update the amount of new enemies that spawn on islands? Because I was trying to do just like a simple treasure dig, and I felt like every time I tried to dig anything, it was like 3 different enemy types. They would fight each other, sure, but it was just always battles.
Yeah. No, it's just that's kind of a thing that's happening. I do feel like they're spawning a little bit more. I don't know if it's a bug, but now that there's like 3 types of enemies now, you're gonna get the skeletons, you got the ghosts, and you got the sea folk. Like, yeah, it's just something's always spawning, and it is kind of annoying sometimes.
And there's like 2 or 3 different kind of sea folk too, aren't there? There's like the big hulking ones. There's an
eel and there's a clam.
Yeah, it's a whole big mess. It really is cool to have that much variety in the game, but it sometimes makes me just miss the old days. I want like a little bit of everything. Like what if Sea of Thieves did like a World of Warcraft reset where they just did like a re-release of the game, and it was like, what do they call it with World of Warcraft? Like vanilla.
Yep.
When they released
before any expansions.
Just do that with Sea of Thieves. Maybe just a few small quality of life touches, like the captain of the ship and all that, and then just give me the basic game again.
You just want a hard reset?
A little bit, yeah. Miss those days.
But Keith, I know you were talking about like trying to find roguelikes, and I think it's funny that you roped me into a game that it's kind of disguised as a roguelike. It's kind of like a roguelike. But we've been playing a bit of Far Out Spacelines. And Far Out Spacelines, we were thinking about maybe doing an episode on, but honestly, it's kind of too simple of a game. But it's a mixture between Overcooked, FTL, if anyone's played that on the PC. One of my favorite games. Love that game. And then it also has like a little bit of roguelike elements to it. Essentially, the game is you are buying a spaceship, a cruise line spaceship, and you are essentially trying to, ferry passengers from point A to point B. And as you're doing it, you're kind of like you and your friends are trying to manage certain systems onto the ship. Like one person has to steer, maybe one person navigates, but you also have to entertain your passengers, feed them, hopefully you have a bathroom on your ship, maybe clean the bathroom if you're lucky enough to own a mop and bucket. I've been having a ton of fun with this game with you. We've only been doing 2 players. We haven't been able to rope Liz into it yet, but it's very simple. I've been having, I think it's a lot of fun to play with your friends. My only frustration so far with the game is I feel like it's very unforgiving. Like you can really get set back when you lose.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to figure that out as much. The banking feature where you can save some of your money it's a little bit sparse, as Liz would say, and so, oh, that's not. I shouldn't say that. She's not here to defend herself. But really though, that's like one of my few complaints too. Is just that. But I played, like I think I had played maybe 1 or 2 runs by myself when the game came out. I think like a month ago, and then just whatever reason the other night I mentioned it to you, and we fired it up. And
yeah, it's not a fun. I do not like it solo. I've tried it solo.
Yeah, it really is just it's not, and it's one of those games that I never disliked Overcooked. I was just like, man, this is overwhelming, and I would get kind of stressed out with it, and it was just it's kind of hard. And this game is too, but at the same time, I don't know, it's so much more fun to me. Like, and maybe it was because of the fact that I took I think the easier job. Sometimes I'm not sure, but I just kind of navigated the ship. And
you navigate. I do everything. I feed the passengers. I dance a lot. I clean the bathrooms.
Yeah, I mean, you were doing such a good job at it. I don't know, and then I tried, and then you would get mad at me because I might or may not have crashed the ship a couple times while I did that. But nonetheless, it's I don't know, just pleasantly more fun than I really would have expected. So if you've got friends to play with it, I think you can host online games, and like maybe you can use like the Xbox looking for party to find people to play with otherwise. But this to me feels like one of those games that even just playing with random people wouldn't be as fun, because it's the ability to, I don't know, kind of just laugh and yell at your friends while you're playing it is what makes it so much fun. So I think this game is really built on playing with friends, not just any multiplayer.
As great as this game is to play alone, it is always more fun to join with friends. Unfortunately, it can be difficult to find someone to play with, and joining randoms is always a mixed bag. Luckily, there's now an easier way with our new sponsor, eBlitz, the social app for gamers. How eBlitz works is you create a profile, add some of your favorite games, write a quick message about yourself, then you can browse other gamers that match your tags or games you like. Now all you have to do is swipe right on those you're interested or swipe left to pass. If you have a match, you join a chat within the app and you can coordinate your game time. But what if you end up matching with someone who has serious gamer rage like Keith? Well, you can return to the app and rate them on a 5-point scale to help others avoid the toxicity. eBlitz covers a wide array of games, from competitive to cooperative, like Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, Minecraft, and many more. eBlitz is fast, easy, and free, so check it out today on the Apple Store or Google Play, or go to www.eblitz.gg for more information. But yeah, so both me and Keith recommend Far Out Space Lines. I believe that's the name. The name is kind of confusing, honestly. But yeah, we've had a ton of fun with it. If you have a couple group of friends to play with, it's worth checking out. Achievements are also pretty easy. I feel like I've been getting quite a bit from it. But yeah, that's, we could get into some free-to-play games. New Apex season's out. I've been loving it.
Turbo Golf is actually tons of fun. Hopefully they add achievements soon.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's actually tons of fun.
Oh, yeah. We've been playing Turbo Golf Racing. We might do an episode on that, but it's in preview. We try not to play a game, do a review on a game that's in preview. I mean, it feels very solid. But, yeah, I've actually been having a ton of fun with Turbo Golf Racing. But, Keith, let's talk a little bit about games that are coming up this month in Game Pass. So, as I said, there's kind of a theme that's been going on with Game Pass. Past recently, it's been working games, but upcoming, it's a lot of storytelling games, which isn't a bad thing. Storytelling games, obviously, yes, are very light on gameplay, but man, is there some good writing in some of these games. So coming up within this month, very soon, you have Coffee Talk, which actually is out now. I've seen a ton of great reviews of Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk is just, you run a coffee shop. The gameplay is very simple. You're kind of brewing coffee for these people, with the ingredients you have. Very simple mechanics. It's essentially, as you can tell by the name of the game, you talking while drinking coffee. And I heard the stories that are happening within this game are phenomenal. It's a bit like sci-fi, cyberpunk, but also a bit fantasy, dealing with elves and goblins type of people.
I actually started it last night. I saw it on there. I was like, I'm going to try this out. So I can say about 45 minutes in, yeah, it's very fantasy driven. So it's set in Seattle, coffee shop in Seattle. Weird, I know. And yeah, it's like you said, it's orcs, elves, all very fantasy driven characters within there. But yeah, it's at least so far, I didn't find any of the stories wow, you have a star-crossed lovers and I don't know. Some of the characters are kind of interesting.
What I've seen in reviews though is it's because a lot of those characters come back, and so it builds onto those stories. And I heard some get really good.
I'm sure, and that's what I'm saying is I'm not necessarily oh man, these stories were so boring, but because again I played less than an hour.
It's all text, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. It's all dialogue, and you have a phone. You can pull up all of your things. I think it's one of those games where there's a lot of dialogue, so you don't have to pay attention to all of it, but at the same time, all of the dialogue can matter. But what it seems to do is that it compiles a lot of the important information on your phone. So if you've made a drink, it saves that recipe. You don't have to remember every time that hey, these are the 3 ingredients that I need to make this drink. But yeah, it seems interesting enough, and I think probably just the fact that it's so story driven, I could see us probably doing an episode on it. It's pretty alright so far from what I've seen.
All right. Well, if you're interested in Coffee Talk, it's on cloud, console, and PC out now. But there's a couple other story games coming out. Another one called Opus: Echo of Star Song. This was originally a Nintendo Switch game in which Nintendo Life gave it a 9 out of 10. And it has I've seen a couple glowing reviews for this game, but it's another mostly narrative driven. It looks like it's a 2D kind of platformer, kind of navigation. It deals with just a lot of characters. The game honestly looks really cool. It's a sci-fi space kind of game, but the architecture is kind of feudal Japan-esque. It is made by a Japanese studio, but yeah, it has great reviews. and I'm really interested in it. That's coming on console and PC. I did not see a date for that. And then, of course, the last one coming out is a game called Immortality, which is coming to PC and Xbox Series X and S. So I don't know if it's coming out to the basic Xbox consoles. But Immortality, actually, I think it was Game Radar. I did see a reviewer gave it a 10 out of 10. But once again, it's another narrative story game, which is, I think, going to be a trilogy. But it's from Sam Barlow. And anyone who knows him, he's done already a couple story games that have gotten huge reviews. He did Her Story, and he also did Telling Lies, which Telling Lies is on Game Pass as well, which one of my friends was telling me about it. He absolutely loved Telling Lies. But yeah, I don't know too much about Immortality. I just know that it's gotten really good reviews, and it's just another narrative story game. So yeah, this is kind of the new trend for this month, is mostly just narrative games. But it's not all narrative games, so don't get too upset if it's not your jam. Because also coming out is Commandos 3 HD Remastered. Keith, have you ever played the Commando games?
I feel like maybe. No, I don't recognize it by name. Refresh me.
I used to love the Commando games when I was a kid. It's a top-down tactical squad stealth game. You have a team of commandos. Usually I think 4 or 5, each one with a certain set of skills. Like one may be a sniper, one may be good at like melee knifing people, one may have a machine gun to lay down cover fire, one may be a distractor. So you have these different commandos with different skills, and it's set in World War II, Nazi. This one I think takes in France, but the commando games are always somewhere in Europe. But yeah, you essentially have to slowly command your commando units. You see a guard tower. Maybe you have to get your sniper guy to take out the guy in the tower. Maybe you needed to go in silent with your knife guy and take people out. It's a very slow kind of tactical top-down stealth game. It's a lot of fun. I used to love these games.
I don't think I ever did. I never really was big on those. Is it almost like an Advance Wars type of style of play, or like
no. It's not turn-based. It's real time. No, it's not turn-based.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I definitely don't know that I played any of them.
I'm trying to think.
I did check
Recently, I don't know if you played. There was a game like it called Desperados 3, or was it just Desperados? I think it was Desperados 3. I think it was but anyway, Desperados that just left Game Pass, but it was the same type of style gameplay.
I don't know if What about like Research and Destroy? Because I played that, and that's kind of tactical, isn't it?
It is, but that one is that's a turn base.
Okay, scrap all that then. I have no idea. I know what I was checking out, and that was Tinykins. Tinykin? I think Tinykin.
Tinykin.
But that looks cool. Like I could have my wrong game here, but I think it's almost like Pikmin style. It looks like you go around, you collect tiny little monsters that all have, like, based on their color, they do different skills that help you kind of travel around and do like puzzles in 3D worlds. I don't know. It looked really cool. It kind of is like a weird, almost like Rick and Morty animation style. That definitely piqued my interest. I don't know. I always get hooked on weird games that have that, like, I don't know, just kind of funny, cutesy, cartoony art style. So which hooks me on that.
Which they just recently had a game on Game Pass. It just left, I think, about a month ago. There was like a Pikmin style-esque game. I don't know if you ever got around to it, but Wild at Heart.
Oh yeah, I started that, and I was like doing it on cloud.
Yeah, I did it all on cloud,
and I never went back to it. But I kept meaning to because it caught my attention. It was a lot of fun when I was playing it. But yeah, I would definitely be in for trying that one. That looked like some fun.
But also coming soon is Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
That game's been out for a while, right?
It's from Ubisoft. It originally came out in 2020. It got pretty mediocre reviews, but like it still has a huge following. Like people who love this game really love it. It's essentially, from what I've heard, people describe it as is Zelda's Breath of the Wild on Nintendo Switch. So it's kind of like a copy of Breath of the Wild, but obviously you can't get that on. You can only play that on the Switch. So it's like the Xbox and PlayStation's version of Breath of the Wild. And a lot of people love this game. But yeah, it's usually got kind of middle of the road reviews. I mean, 7 and 8 out of 10. Like, pretty solid reviews. But I definitely want to check this game out because I've heard some people speak highly of this game. So Immortals Phoenix Rising, I believe it's coming out within a week. It's very soon.
Okay. I mean, it's been a long time since I've played a Zelda game, so who knows? Maybe I'd play one and be like, oh, geez, I don't know what I liked about these games. But
Breath of the Wild is cool. I actually own it on my Switch.
I don't think I ever played Breath of the Wild. I honestly think the last Zelda game I played was Ocarina of Time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oof.
But I know everyone loved Breath of the Wild, even Breath of the Wild, from what I've seen, is so much bigger than just about any other Zelda game has ever been. So, yeah, it seems daunting. I'm not gonna lie, but I'd check it out.
Then lastly, coming to cloud console and PC is Midnight Fight Express. So this one I've never heard of. I actually had to look this up, but this game is coming out on the 23rd. But Midnight Fight Express, like, I saw a video of it and it looks really cool. It's an M-rated game. It's kind of a twin stick shooter / melee combat. It looks like it's like in a cyberpunk future world. You know, you have a character customization where you can kind of dress up your character and you're just kind of doing these street brawls. It looks like it kind of has an interesting story, but it's very violent, very gory, but it actually looks like a ton of fun. I'm definitely gonna check this game out when it comes to Game Pass.
I mean, I'm in. I saw it and my immediate went, please be a roguelike. Please be a roguelike. I kind of just stopped looking at that point if I'm completely honest. But everything you've described about it sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm in. So
I don't think I saw anyone describe it as a roguelike. And the only thing I've seen it, the genres is beat 'em up and fighting game. So
yeah, I saw beat 'em up and side scrollers. So I mean, I wasn't against it, but I just went, oh, someday.
But then there is still one more game. It's only coming to PC Game Pass, but it's called Exa Punks. And essentially this game looks like you're hacking. You're kind of like creating robots. And essentially this game is about programming. So once again, this is another thing that is kind of Game Pass is going through. Because last month they came out with Shenzhen IO, which that game is about writing script. And so then this Exa Punks is about programming. So once again, kind of working simulator games, you know, they don't have those names in it, but these games are kind of teaching you how to code and program, which is really cool. I'm always down for these types of games. Like, I don't know if I'd ever be a programmer or into coding because to me, it seems just kind of like really tedious. But heck, you know, I've been loving all these other working games that are tedious. So I kind of want to give them a try. But like I said, but unfortunately, like I said, it's only PC.
Boo. I see. No, isn't at some point there going to be a crossover where basically anything PC Game Pass is going to be playable on at least the Series X/S?
So there's been rumor, but nothing's been kind of concrete from what I've seen. Because before the Xbox showcase happened, like some people were finding like some footage or whatever, or possible linked art showing that like Age of Empires was coming to console and stuff like that. It makes sense because, you know, you can hook up a mouse and keyboard to the console. I don't understand why they don't do that. Why they don't let like cloud gaming for PC games onto your console. Fortunately, that's not a thing yet, and there hasn't been anything announced, but I really, 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 really hope it does happen because it would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, considering the Series X is just as powerful, at least as most, I think at least decent gaming computers, if not up there competitively. At least that's what I always thought. But I thought it would be kind of a cool thing, and it would be nice, especially with cloud gaming. Even if you can't install them, just run them off a cloud somehow. It would kind of make sense. But it's funny because I tried it one time. I think I was trying to stream like a football game or something. Hopefully I don't get arrested for saying that. But I plugged in a mouse and keyboard, like the USB thing, and it just worked like on the browser. I didn't have to do anything. I thought I would have to do more, but I was like, I'm just going to try this. And holy crap, was it easy. And I assume it's probably pretty much the same for playing games. So like, I don't know, probably a lot of people already know this. It's like a dumb fact, but I've discovered that, and I thought it was pretty incredibly easy. Thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So here's hoping. That's my number one Xbox wish, is that you can finally just cloud PC games on the console. Please, Microsoft.
Do you want to know a super, super duper random Xbox fact?
I would love
that
to
I feel
hear
like
one.
it's just I feel like this is just the perfect episode for it. So when the Peppa Pig game and the Paw Patrol game came out,
Yep.
it said it came out on, I don't know, like the 10th, and it didn't actually come out till like the 11th. I was trying to do that thing where like you change the time zone because I'd hyped our 4-year-old up for it, that she was going to be able to play them. So I was trying to change the time zone so I could play them early. And I set my time zone to New Zealand, and I forgot about it. It didn't work. The next day I went in and I booted it up. And do you know Paw Patrol, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Ryder.
Oh yeah. Daughterless Paw Patrol.
Yeah. So Ryder, the main character there, or the leader of the Paw Patrol, when you put it on New Zealand or like anything English non-US, he has a British accent. It's not the same voice. It's just a random British voice. It's all the same text. It's all the same dialogue. I don't know why they throw in a random British accent, but then when you go back to English American, it's the right Ryder voice.
Huh.
It's very bizarre. It's the only game I've ever noticed it with. Maybe
well, granted, this is the only game you probably tried it. Yeah.
Maybe, but yeah, it's I discovered that and I was like, that is just a really, really weird thing that happened, because it's not like people from New Zealand can't understand the English language if it's not in an accent, right? I think we have some listeners from New Zealand. I think maybe they just understand English American. But anywho, I thought that this would be a good episode to point that out.
That's kind of funny. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I mean, heck, we've been talking for over like 45 minutes here. People have probably been only listening to about 15 minutes of this.
Hopefully they still downloaded it at least, because that's why we did this. No, we did it for them. We do this for the listeners because we care.
Except so many of them probably just stopped right after we gave our intro, called it Boy Talk.
Like, oh gosh. I think your brother might be the only person who was like, okay, I'm in. Boy Talk sounds good. Are they going to talk about Ryan Gosling? Because I could really get into this.
He has such a weird crush on him. But anyway, let's wrap it up here, Keith. We will be back with a normal episode next week. If you have any game suggestions, please email us at gamepassgrabback@gmail.com or on Twitter at GBGBpod or Facebook GBGBpod, or just say hi. We always love to hear from our listeners. It always makes our week. Please also consider leaving us a review on Spotify or whatever. Maybe even subscribe to our YouTube channel. If we get 100 subscribers, we can finally get a proper URL. Wouldn't that be something? One day I'll actually start making videos. Like I said, we just recently moved, so hopefully I can get my equipment set up to do that again. But I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me next Xbox Live at Firebird0952.
I've been Keith. We're back under 100 Twitter followers, so someone get on that, because whoever unfollowed us, thanks.
Are we really? Aww. We suck
again.
At Twitter. We really.
So if you're the one who unfollowed us and you're listening to this, I don't know who you are, but you do, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
We were so happy we got 100. We worked so hard.
Other than that, I'm not Liz the Noob, but Noob is EW. Did I do that right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like she should still be in here somewhere.
I'll just get her, copy your voice in there.
That's
too much work.
That one.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We apologize, but we love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.